On a scale of 1 to 10, the worst thing I ate was probably an 8.5.
And you're a really tough critic.
I'm a tough critic.
If it's not good, you have no problem saying
I'm trying to find him right now.
So it's Ramadi and Ramadi Parker, Jason Brooks are the names of the guys.
Well,
they were bringing me other things. The food was incredible. Everything I ate was amazing. But I would say if I had to pick the top 3, the ribs, the brisket, and the cornbread were 100 out of 100.
Cornbread has to be great.
Oh my God, James, the best cornbread I've ever had in my life. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
We're going to go next Thursday.
It was ridiculous.
I was going to say, we need to plan a UCSS outing where we go as a group, we break bread, we enjoy this fine restaurant together.
Brisket was melting.
Wow.
Ribs were melting.
Now, are you trying to reel them in as a showstopper?
No. They're nice guys. They're fans. And then as we're leaving, this couple that sat down, they're asking me what they have with this guy was a fan. So they love sports there. They're big sports guys. Wow. They love it. I told them I was going to bring some of the guys down next week.
And they take Jack with us. Our buddy Jack.
But
he loves barbecue.
The food was just amazing. Amazing.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, Mikey McNuggets, hello to busy show. I don't need to tell you what we're teasing today.
Yeah.
It is going to be a wild show. If you didn't see the Twitter beef yesterday between a media member and a member of Deshaun Watson's entourage, I guess is it's being called, but it was wild. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was fake. It's real. We'll talk much. We'll go into great detail about that. But first, good morning, Mike. How are you, man?
What's up, guys? We're going to get some live reaction from the Browns locker room when it opens in about 20 minutes. But just so you guys know, Deshaun Watson not scheduled to speak. That is according to Mary Kay Cabot, so we will not be hearing from Deshaun Watson. We're going to get into plenty of quarterbacks talk in the next hour. But first, I need to remind the good people out there that if you are looking to get into any gambling action this season, you better be doing it with FanDuel. It is, without question, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, by placing a single $5 bet. So if you've been thinking about getting in on the action, there's no better time to join FanDuel than right now. The app is easy to use with a wide range of options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS. To kick off the NFL action, FanDuel, official partner of UCSS, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And you can become a winner, just like Brandon Nash was. He had a 4-part same-game Monday Night Football at $15 to $230. He had an under on the rushing total for Alexander Madison, over on George Kittle receiving yards, over on Kirk Cousins touchdowns, and over on George Kittle reception. That's $15 into $228.61. You could be next, just like Brendan, if you use FanDuel.com/UCSS. Jay, let's talk quarterbacks. The Browns decided to bring in a potential new quarterback at number 2 behind Deshaun Watson, assuming he can play in the near future.
Yeah, this is, guys, this has become the issue of the season. What they've done at quarterback, and we'll set the stage for you. After they broke training camp, they're ready for the season, they decided that at the most important position, perhaps in all of sports, they were good with going with a backup that had taken 0 snaps in the NFL in terms of regular season games. You're rolling the dice when you do that. You're unprepared. There's no
Speaking, how can I assist you today?
don't matter. And I get it. The options are not amazing, whether it's Josh Dobbs or Andy Dalton or Jacoby Brissett or Ryan Tannehill or Carson Wentz. None of those guys are going to get us very excited, but you know what they all have in common? They're all better than P.J. Walker.
You hit it exactly.
Let's go.
Exactly. Not just on the nail. You hit it in the middle of the head of the nail. Can you disagree with anything Bull just said?
No. Actually, he did such a good job that I can't even rebuttal it with real words. I'm just going to go to one of my favorite books. There's a quote in this novel,
Back up.
and it talks about leadership. It says the difference between a good administrator and a bad one is about 5 heartbeats. Good administrators make immediate choices that usually can be made to work. A bad administrator, on the other hand, hesitates, diddles around, asks for committees for research and reports. Eventually, he acts in ways which create serious problems. A bad administrator is more concerned with reports than with decisions. He wants the hard record, which he can display as an excuse for his errors.
That is unbelievable. What book is that from?
That is from Dune.
Leadership. What?
Dune? Yeah.
No kidding.
God Emperor of Dune is a great novel. Shout out to Frank Herbert. One of my favorite. That was Duke Leto Atreides II. Go watch that if you ever go watch it. Go check out the novel. But he hits it right on the head right here.
See, that's exactly what's going on with this front office. Exactly. They're too concerned about covering their tracks.
That's it.
And you're right think about the leaders that you've been under, whether it's in work or sports. You would rather go to war with a guy who makes an impulse decision and is willing to live with it, or what was key about that quote, find a way to make it work.
Yes.
Than a guy who twiddles his thumbs until it's too late and the cavalry is upon you. What are you going to do at that point?
Well, there's nothing you can do about it. And right now, you've had the quote was so, I was just looking at it, and it just shows, if you apply it to this context, they had weeks. He got
almost 5 weeks.
He got hurt, and then they had games. They had a bye. They had a bye. Then they snuck a game that they weren't supposed to win against the 49ers, and they won it. If they would have had a decision and stopped selling these day to day, they could have also set him down from the time he got hurt all the way until maybe the Ravens game.
Without throwing a football
at all.
And he would have, you could say, keep him for the Ravens game. He's got almost 8 weeks.
Yeah,
where
2 months.
Between throwing a football, that's how this injury heals. From all the experts, everything that we've heard, it doesn't heal if you're working overhead, lifting anything, or throwing anything.
How many times have you went and got an MRI when nothing hurt, Jay?
Never. Why would you?
So when people say he's cleared to play, he's cleared. That's
troubling to me. They cleared this man to play 4 weeks ago. Well, he wasn't ready Sunday.
No. And Jay, not even that, but you can take tag word full. This is what Andrew Berry said 3 weeks ago today. Like today, except 3 weeks ago. We don't deal with...
Text Selena Bina Walden. Quit texting mommy, she's working. What do you need?
It's happened wrong. So either people have been lying, or there's been a misdiagnosis. It's crazy.
You asked the pertinent question. What's happened?
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with a fan yesterday, and this is kind of, I just sort of meandered to this conclusion, but here's my guess is what's going on. Barry knows he's in a sling. Stefanski knows he's in a sling. I think after they made the move to keep DTR as the number 2, if they didn't know it was a bad move at first, they knew it after he started against Baltimore. Yep. They saw it with their eyes just as we did. Oh, God, this kid's not ready. So now they realize we made a real calculation. They're bucking inside. So I think what they're doing is all the verbiage that's come from them and all the verbiage that's come from Watson. You've got a team saying on multiple occasions he was cleared to play. He will play in 10 days from now. Structurally, there's nothing wrong. There is no pain.
Medically cleared.
Medically cleared.
Yeah.
Ask Sunday after the game, is he going to be your starter in Seattle? Now, he would say, as long as he's healthy, he's my guy. Everything they have said has basically been like someone opening the door for someone to say, come on in. It's all been laying the groundwork for the fan base and the media. He's good to go. Now, you've got Deshaun, who, by the way, is the only person qualified to say when he's ready to play. And you know what that is? When he has complete and full confidence of where he's throwing the ball, and he's doing it pain-free. He is not to that point. We saw that Sunday. So I think you've got the player saying, I'm not in any hot seat. Nobody's coming after me. My money's guaranteed. I'm not playing for contracts. Baker didn't have that luxury. Baker had to play. So you've got a player who's saying, no, when I'm ready and I'm good, I'll know it and I'll tell you and I'll play. You've got a coach and a general manager who probably believe that they're going to be in the unemployment line if they go with what they have now at quarterback for the rest of the season, because that's not going to be
But how to know that he's not going to play well? We've already seen this movie before.
I know, but I think
it's worse because it's his throwing shoulder. He clearly couldn't play. Like, that was crazy. And Watson's going to want to play. Even this nonsense, and we'll get into the idiotic comments by Brady a bit later, but like this nonsense about, well, he doesn't want to play. He was telling people that whole first week he was going to play because he wanted to play. He wasn't ready to play.
Players want to play.
And he wanted to play. If he didn't want to play, why would he have been out there?
I agree with you 100%.
So that's ridiculous.
I'm sure he's got veto power.
Of course.
If he wanted to say, ahead of Sunday's game, Coach, I'm not going to play, he could have.
Might be able to get us inside.
I know. The sooner we rescue Tucker, the sooner we save my uncle.
Jin. Tucker
will
will
forge
forge
whatever tools we need as soon as he's free.
But
But
after that,
we'll leave
the
the
island.
island.
You've seen what the Mongols are doing. Old Shima can't stop them. Stay. Help us fight for our home.
Home is
Is
wherever
wherever
Tucker
Tucker
might
might
go.
go.
My
My
friend
friend
lives in
Osmo
prefecture,
Prefecture,
on the
on the
border
border
with
with
Tsutsu.
Tsutsu.
I'll find you there.
I know
I
this
know this
wasn't
wasn't
easy.
easy.
Going
Against their code.
But I had to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lord Shimura, you deserve better than this. Convince your people to stop resisting, and you can walk free. Stop wasting my time. Kill me. You think you've lost everything, but your nephew is still alive. My men control the roads. They build war camps near your town. They see everything, and they will find you. Lord Sakai will fight until his last breath. As will I. You love him. Just as you love your people. You're a father to them. Will you abandon your children? I won't make them your slaves.
Absolutely, that's what happened against San Francisco.
I'd like to add a little addendum to that quote. Here's another difference between good leaders and bad leaders. Good leaders recognize when they have made a bad decision and immediately take action to undo it.
Yep.
Bad leaders double down on stupid. They double down on it. No, we're going to be good. You keep convincing yourself. No, Anthony Schwartz is a baller.
Right.
No, David Bell is a baller.
I think that Kevin Smith, he showed good leadership and realizing it was a mistake to play Sean Watson, and he pulled him out and said, "You're out."
Well, yeah.
I mean, Andrew Berry's got to show good leadership at the front office, Deep Depth, whoever the hell you want to blame, Jimmy Haslam. And they've got to go address the position there.
I can't believe they haven't yet.
Right.
I can't believe.
So when you tried Deshaun Watson out there, I wholeheartedly what you're saying. You got two people that are looking out for their jobs, and they're saying, okay, at least we can string this along. The more they string it along, the public sentiment seems to change. Because if you keep saying day to day, we'll figure it out, I had to take him out and protect him. What happens is the fan base starts to look at you and say, okay, well, they keep telling us you're ready to play, but you're just not playing. So now the onus goes on you to figure out why you can't play, or can you play? And
if you can't, go find someone that can.
And so right now, they got him on the bench. They got him sitting here. And every week that go by, what starts to happen is they're still paving the groundwork for this. Well, look at the university. You're going to start. You see these coaches be linking in
This hit me yesterday. I'm going to give you an analogy. The football team is a high-powered race car. They've got a top-flight engine, the best engine money could buy. Let's call that the defense. They've got a couple of really nice, shiny tires in guys like Myles Garrett and Amari Cooper. Guys that we would mostly say are the best at their position, or certainly amongst the best at their position. They've got all these pieces, but before the season started, they went to the shop and they said, now, do we have all the backup parts we're going to need? Because during the race, you don't know what you're going to throw. You might throw a brake drop. You might throw, a chassis, whatever you're going to do. So a good team owner says, so the steering column is my quarterback. Are we good? And if I think we're good with that, but if we're not, let's order a backup steering column. So about lap 27, we crack the steering column, we can bring them into the pits, put a new one in, get it back out on the track, and still have a chance. That's what a good team owner in NASCAR would do. They didn't do that. They sent their backup steering column away, and they had an unproven one. It's never been tested sitting in the box. It was new, but I don't know, it hasn't been tested, no research has been done on it, we don't know. Let's go with this. And the steering column won't break. Then about a quarter of the way through the race, the driver comes in and says, something's wrong, man, this car's shimmying, my steering column got cracked. And the engineer looks under the hood, he's like, oh my God, there's a crack in there. What are we going to do? Can't sit there and think about it. Well, get the car back out on the track. Well, that's the worst thing that can happen. Because if that steering column cracks, that car goes into the wall, and that beautiful engine that was the highest paid, best performing engine all year is gone. And those shiny tires, Miles Garrett and Amari Cooper, they're meaningless. Your car is crashed into the wall. The quarterback in this scenario is the steering column. You know it's crashed. You didn't have a backup. Now, and here's the good thing. Try to save the race. Here's the good thing.
The only inspiration is faith. During times of conflict, warriors rise up sacrifices.
But it's fool's gold, and we all know it. It's not sustainable.
It's not. So the way they want, especially the way they want to get busy, is not sustainable. Right now, the only way they can win with any consistency is by playing lights out defense. If they play mediocre defense, even they're going to lose most of their games with the quarterback.
And let's be clear. There's a lot of, and I like to tell people, you know, everybody thinks that their fan base is the most intelligent and most informed. But I'm going to be honest with you. Fans fall in love with the record. I've found over the years, just by even just talking about the team, that 4-2 record to most fans is more important than anything else that's going wrong inside the organization.
As I say, it hides the worst.
It hides it. Right. That's just why a lot of people, they go to a doctor. The doctor tells them, man, I'm sorry, Joe, but right now you got stage 3 or stage 4 cancer. And they're like, hold on, I feel fine though. I feel great. They're like, well no, let me just show you. Full school, it's coming. It is coming. You got 6 months to it. And that's why people have a hard time coming to grips with it, because there's no symptoms. There's no, hey, at least when I get sick, I can go and I got a fever and a temperature, and I can, take medicine. Some illnesses hit you like this and you go on the next week.
But our fan base is not used to winning.
They're not.
Any taste of winning is exciting, right?
It's intoxicating.
And
I get it.
4-2. And it's great that they're 4-2. If they were 2-4, they'd have the same problems, but we'd be like, well, they're screwed.
And let's face it, we're a questionable penalty and a missed field goal away from being 2-4.
And so exactly, we kind of like this. So the doctor tells you, you know what, we did catch it earlier now, right? Yeah. But since you don't have any symptoms, he tries to give you medicine. He says, take this medicine, you'll get better, and we caught it in time. You say to him, oh, well, listen, man, I don't feel any symptoms. I'm not taking the medicine because you got that 4-2.
Right.
See, they don't want to take that medicine and say, hey, let's go ahead and get this quarterback so we can heal this up right now. If you wait, you're going to lose the next 2 games. You get in another situation where you don't have the leeway to save your season.
You know what happens when you sweep problems under the rug? You don't see them in the short term, but it's only going to be a matter of time before you trip over whatever that is.
Especially if it becomes mold.
Yes. Black mold.
And it can be deadly.
Yeah.
I think all of this, here's what's stunning to me.
Yeah.
All of this is conventional wisdom. None of it is hyperbole. It's all fact-based. It's all common sense. How is it that this organization didn't get a real backup quarterback in here on the Monday following the injury?
I have no idea.
It's inexplicable.
It's already too late for this week. Like, even if you're running Jacoby Brissett now, he's probably going to play.
No.
I mean, I guess he could in theory, but...
according to Adam Schefter, when I was talking to him about it, he's like, that's not in the plans right now. Now, he's getting that from somewhere.
Maybe the plans change, I hope so.
Well, he
but,
said,
yeah.
if they change as the season plays out, we'll see. And that's entirely possible. But why wait until week 7 or 8?
I wish I could ask Andy Berry that question. Like, right now, what he's thinking.
I think your quote is so powerful, and here's why. I think they're afraid of the consequences of a bad decision. And that's a bad leader.
But Andrew Berry's always been aggressive. He's been a pretty aggressive GM in terms of
He's
trades.
very aggressive.
I think the way they handled the kicker thing, I applaud them a million times over. Not just because the way it worked out, because our eyes told us what they had wasn't good enough. We have to see something else.
Right.
And now look, not only did they appropriately make that decision, which was tough, he was a high draft pick for a kicker. They appropriately and on the right time frame made that decision. He didn't stay at the party too long. He didn't cost us a regular season game. They made a decision. You're out. They did their due diligence on those that were available. Came up kind of with a sleeper pick, and this guy has literally been the best kicker in the NFL this year. And so kudos to you. Andrew Berry, front office, you assessed the problem, and you presented a workable solution. Now look, you're watching the same thing unfold in real time. We're seeing it. All the fans are seeing it. The metrics, if you want to lean heavily on analytics, tell you that this team's quarterback play is ranked 32nd.
And it's not the
Make a move.
It's not even like P.J. Walker has any kind of track record of playing excellent football. He has no track record. His only track record is outside of one game is playing.
And here's how you know they they need a quarterback. He has not been added to the 53-man roster permanently.
I think they finally did.
They finally added him?
I don't know if I don't know that they made. It's been reported. It hasn't. I don't know if it's officially yet. But yeah,
They can't do that one more. They can't do that anymore.
They can do it one more. They could have done it one more time. You're allowed to do it 3 times, and then you have to add them after.
Right. So this would be the last time that they could actually put him on the practice squad and bring him back up.
Yes.
So you got to make a decision now.
Yeah.
I mean, right now he's your
But
option.
that's the point. Yeah.
But
you weren't even worried about losing him.
No, you weren't.
You weren't.
At this point, I'm stunned that they haven't reached the conclusion that all of us have and that most fans have, is that this ain't it.
No.
We've got to move on something. And look, I understand the argument that, well, trading for a guy is next to impossible. I get that. There are the options available that we talked about, and you hit it right on the head early to start the show. Nick Foles is not a great quarterback, or he'd be on a roster.
Right.
And, the same thing can be said for Carson Wentz.
Right.
But they're better than what we have.
Right. I take those guys. I don't love either. I would too. I take them. I'd rather get Brissett or Dalton because they've been with teams. They've been playing.
Sure. Yeah.
They both play. Oh, Brissett hasn't played, but Dalton has played a game this year. But do something. Yeah. You can't stand pat.
Inaction is not an action.
No.
And it's not excusable. And
No,
I just don't know how
This
this will work
team
out.
can win a bunch of games with average quarterback play.
I know.
We'll see
And very few teams, by the way, can say that.
That's right. And who knows? If you get decent quarterback play, maybe you could bring Watson back in December. Maybe you can. And by then he feels all right, and maybe you can make a run of the playoffs.
What's funny
but don't
is
give up on it.
Not that long ago,
Yeah.
Carson Wentz was 11-2, and Nick Foles came in and saved the season and took him to a Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
Like, these guys have a track record.
Foles makes me nervous because he's only played well in Philly. Everywhere else he's done, he's been terrible.
I know.
I don't know what it is.
It's a stretch.
Yes.
But I've seen enough from what we have to know that
Anybody.
it ain't it.
Anybody.
Yes. Okay, Mikey.
We're going to talk about a little Twitter beefs in a second about a different average quarterback for 1 second. Before we do that, I gotta remind everybody that at 12:30 to 1 on Fridays, we leave YouTube. Head over to WKYC Channel 3 on the big screen. If you're not in Cleveland, you can download WKYC Plus app or the WKYC app on a mobile device and watch 30 minutes of brand new Browns Seahawks preview content that'll get you ready for everything you need to know on Sunday. That is 12:30 to 1 on WKYC.
Show's catching fire. It's taking off.
It is.
And we thank the fans for that because we know that you've been loyal. At 12:30, when the YouTube show ends, you have gone over to watch us on Channel 3. The metrics show it, and we appreciate your allegiance.
Jay, before we get into next, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did you have former Browns quarterback beefing with current Browns quarterback QB coach on Twitter on your 2023 bingo card?
Who's got all these bingo cards? What we talking about?
But by the way, how did I not have that? I mean, it's always the craziest and most wild things that happen to this franchise.
Sure,
but that's exactly what we're talking about. I should have known it was coming. How do you want to start? Do you want to start with the original
Yeah, we have it, and we're going to play a little snippet of what Brady Quinn said.
I think that's fair.
And to give everyone context, Brady Quinn is a co-host with LeVar Arrington and someone else on a Fox Sports show.
Right.
The topic of Deshaun Watson came up yesterday. Deshaun Watson's quarterback coach, Quincy Avery, responded, but here is initially what Brady Quinn said, at least a snippet of it. We're not going to play the full 4-minute clip. You can find that on our Twitter page if you want. But a little snippet of what Brady Quinn said that then led to an argument online. And you can play it.
He's actually the one that's basically reporting on his health to the media, which everyone else is peculiar.
Everyone else's the medical opinion just clears him pretty much. I mean, it's like, well, it's kind of similar to this. You get a kid who gets a trust fund, right? $230 million. Then he's like, hey, you want to go out and get a job? He's like, not really. No. I've got $230 million coming. I'm good. That's what it kind of feels like. Like it's human nature, by the way, too. For if someone won, if you won the lotto and you end up netting $230 million, because we always talk about the Powerball and all that, like you'd probably be like, yeah, I'm good. I'm probably not going to do this anymore, right?
So you're saying.
It went on for about 4 minutes. I think that the original line that certainly ruffled the feathers of Quincy was that he's basically the one that's reporting on his injury. Everybody else in the medical community says he's cleared to play. Guys, I think that goes back to what I think are competing factions here. The Browns and their management need him on the field to keep their jobs. And Brady Quinn got one thing right. There's no urgency for Deshaun Watson to do it. Now, to make the leap of faith that he's just not doing it because he doesn't want to do it, that is where I thought it was a personal character assassination, and that was unfair.
Well, before you go, you want to go through the whole exchange real quick so everyone has the full context?
Go ahead.
Dive in.
Quincy Avery is Deshaun Watson's personal quarterback coach.
Right. So
He works with other quarterbacks, too.
He does.
he worked at QB Academy. After that initial quote, Quincy then quote tweeted that exact clip, and I'm going to bleep out the curse word here, but take it full. And Brady, I'm going to be real. You don't know what the F you're talking about. And sit behind a microphone gossiping like a little high school chick. Then they went on a little back and forth. Anthony, you can take that whenever you're ready here. Brady said, come anytime you want to talk in person, open invitation. Quincy said, I've just seen you Saturday. I don't have anything I want to talk to you about. I'm telling you, you were talking about things you don't know. Talking on another man who doesn't know you is weak. Brady Quinn said, well, I didn't see you. Quincy then responded, what's the point? To which then Brady dropped this. How about we massage this conversation and get it to a happy ending? Does that sound satisfactory?
Yeah, that's the nuclear.
Which led to Quincy's final response in this exchange, which was, this the joke you was dying to let fly? We can table the combo until I see you in person. That is the full context of the exchange. Now, you guys can take it.
I thought it was, when you sent it yesterday, I thought that catch not real. Someone doctored that.
At first, I thought the last tweet was probably like a fake Brady Quinn out friendly. But it wasn't.
It was him.
Yeah.
He really went there.
Yeah.
It devolved quickly because if you go through the timeline, the first salvo, and this is his job. We take shots at guys all the time.
Yeah.
That's what we're paid to do, is tell it how we see it. I get that. You can make the argument, though, that Brady did get personal when he called him a trust fund kid.
Yeah.
That is a character assassination. That's a negative connotation.
Yes.
From there, it escalated to, you're a high school chick. And then Brady just went full-on nuclear with the let's massage this conversation to a happy ending.
Yeah.
Like, I was stunned that two grown adults who really should know better than to do this actually did this.
I'm not stunned. We've seen a lot of grown adults.
I know we have, but I would tell Quincy this. You're accomplished at what you've done. Bro, you're a professional, and you've got real cred. I say this about players all the time, and he kind of goes into that boat. Just tune out that nonsense. People are going to take shots. It's just inevitable. You don't have to respond to it and come down to that level. Just let it go and just coach up your quarterback to go out one day and have a great game. And then if you want to say, we'll prove Brady Quinn wrong. Let your job, your professionalism, and your guys' performance handle that.
Gee, I know you disagree.
Well, the first thing, there's a lot of semantics involved. The first thing is,
Thank you for
I don't
contacting
agree. And this is a fraternity when it comes to players and other players. You know, the NFL players go through a lot of different things.
That's why it shocked me too.
Yeah, they go through a lot. There's a lot of people who get injured and are trying to fight to get back on the field. There's a lot of people that are permanently injured when you play this game of football. And so I find it very ironic that as a member that played in that elite fraternity, that you would go to that level as to insinuate that this man was just faking it for the money. Now, everybody, you've been in the locker room.
That's a character assassination.
That's saying that you not honest. That's saying that you weak. That's saying that you lazy. That's saying that you don't care about your teammates. That's it. Like, you don't get to that level by being lazy. You don't get to that level to do that. So I felt like you commenting on another player, especially at the quarterback position, is egregious. Man, find me where Peyton Manning is going out criticizing Tom Brady. Find Tom Brady going out and criticizing Joe Brees. It just doesn't happen. So I didn't like that part. The second part I didn't like, and I was upset about, you know, when I heard it, is he's talking about it being a trust fund baby. Now, let's be clear. If you don't know what Deshaun Watson's upbringing is, his mother raised 4 children, a single parent, multiple jobs, and she had to do that all while fighting tongue cancer. She had to have her tongue removed because she had cancer, and she still went to work on those 2 jobs, raised her 4 kids by herself, and they came from a poor rural area, and you talk about trust fund? See, my problem is you just looking at the 230. And here's how I know you got a little bit of jealousy in that. You said 230 as in referencing Powerball. Yep. He thinks Deshaun Watson hit the Powerball. To him, it's so much money. I looked up his contract. When he played for the Browns, he made about $9 million. That's life-changing money for people.
He stole my million.
And that's the third thing. Brady Quinn, when was you an Iron Man? I'm confused, Brady. You went through injuries. You missed the 2008 season with the fractured pinky finger. Now, guess what? Nobody in the media was like, oh, we're going to make fun of that. Your pinky hurt. No one did that. We took it for what it was. You got back on the field the next year. It didn't work out in Cleveland. At the end of the day, I have a problem with people that look at a stack of money and then they feel like they can just talk about certain things because they wish they had that bag. To be truthful, I don't understand where we all as men. Where I came from, you want to see every single man be able to take care of his family. Listen, we laugh at Jay all the time because we be like, oh, Jay got the huge bag. Jay worked his ass off to get there. He put that work in. I'm not going to insinuate that this man got here just by osmosis. And I want everybody to produce and go to the next level and be able to take care of their children. You don't think Deshaun Watson and that $230 million is taking care of numerous people? Yes, it's taking care of those people. My thing is this, and about the massage thing, and we'll get to the last line because I don't want to be long-winded. You better than that, Brady. You got a wife and daughter.
I think so too.
You better than that. And here's what I'm going to say. If you really, a lot of people believe in coming out against sexual assault members and people who've been sexually assaulted, and you was upset at Deshaun Watson because of the allegations. I'm starting to rethink that. Because if you were so, thrown back by the allegations and you don't like him, why would you then put this message out that in a way makes light of sexual assault? How about this, right? You got mothers, you got fathers, you got daughters. What if that was one of your kids that came out and said they alleged that? And I'm putting up tweets talking about If that's the first thing you want to talk about is the joke that everybody seems to be wanting to talk about, how much do you care about sexual assault because you make it light of it in your tweets? And you couldn't wait to say it. So my thing is this. I've been talking a long time, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to say nothing. And I've caught myself sometimes when you critiquing people. When you critique somebody, talk about what they're doing on the field. Talk about their play. But don't talk about nobody's character. Don't talk about nobody's family and leave that off. Because people be wanting to really come to you about that stuff. And he's better than that anyway. He should know that.
I agree with the part that he's better than that. I think he's very good at his job. Brady Quinn is very good at his job. And I'm not alone in that. There are a lot of television executives that think he is. And I just thought that was below him to go there.
This is fascinating, guys. And this tells you Brady Quinn is exposed. He's exposed here. I'm about to expose. Last year, after I don't know, it was a Monday night game. I think it was Monday. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was a night game. Last year, Zach Wilson was playing for the Jets. Zach Wilson played a terrible game. Booger McFarland, we all know he's an analyst, also on CBS, made a comment. You folks may remember that after this game, Zach Wilson said he didn't feel that he played a terrible game, and he said he didn't feel as though he let down the Jets defense after scoring just 3 points against New England. So he played terribly. The Jets only scored 3 points, and he didn't take any blame for himself publicly. Something Deshaun Watson, it wasn't like Deshaun Watson said, well, we're losing because of somebody else.
I remember that comment.
Remember that, Zach Wilson?
He took a lot of heat for it.
Yes. And one of the guys that gave him heat, Booger McFarland. And one of the things Booger McFarland said was he hasn't accepted accountability for his play because, quote, he grew up with a lot of money. Kind of similar to what Brady Quinn said. And people were critical, rightly so, of Booger McFarland for bringing up Zach Wilson growing up with a lot of money. We don't agree with that.
I think that's an unfair comment.
One of the people who was critical of Booger McFarland bringing up Zach Wilson's money, Brady Quinn.
Yeah.
Brady Quinn said, quote, about Zach McFarland, talking about Zach Wilson bringing up his money, Booger McFarland, yeah. Brady Quinn said, quote, the entire argument is so stupid. It was one of the dumbest things I've heard on air. And that's saying something because Booger was on Monday Night Football and he said a lot of dumb stuff during that period of time. So last year, Brady Quinn said Booger McFarland said one of the dumbest things ever, for saying Zach Wilson's basically the same thing that Brady Quinn called Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. And I think the difference is Booger's comment was he's soft because of his upbringing. He didn't have to work hard for anything. And Brady came from means. I'm not sure that his family was wealthy, but he certainly lived a more privileged life than some that follow that path.
Yes.
And I think he may have looked at Booger's comments as an attack on anybody who's come through the ranks of college and into the NFL if they weren't hungry on the street.
So then what? Well, and that's a fair. And I'm not. By the way, no, I know, but that is actually a more reasonable criticism that a guy who grew up with money is less likely to be hungry for money.
I would totally agree with that because Deshaun earned it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so for Brady Quinn just a year ago to say it's stupid for Booger McFarland to bring up where his money came from, and then Brady Quinn did the exact same thing and compare. He said, well, he's a trust fund kid.
Yeah.
Well, when somebody else called Zach Wilson a trust fund kid, a much worse and less accomplished quarterback than Deshaun Watson, who was not dealing with an injury last year, he just wasn't any good.
Yeah.
He had a problem with it, but he had no problem saying the same thing about a more proven quarterback who's injured
and earned money.
Yes, I wonder why.
And you know why? It comes back to $230 million. Yeah, that people have a big problem with that.
They have, because it's such an asterisk for so many people. That's so much money, even to really rich people, that they automatically decide they just chest in their heart. They have to. It just 230 kind of hits you. You jump back a little
and it's the highest too. And I think that's the distinction.
And so my thing was when I look at Brady Quinn, and here's another thing. This ain't the first time he's been out of pocket. This guy was the same dude that came on air before the draft and said C.J. Stroud was falling in the draft because he didn't go to the Manning camp. He said he ghosted him. Yeah, and C.J. ghosted him. The Mannings are royalty, and you just can't do that or you're gonna fall down. You gotta kiss the ring. And you know what? Ryan Clark said this. Shout out to Ryan Clark for doing the homework. He said, oh, no. See, I went and I talked to C.J. Stroud and the Mannings. And that's unequivocally false. He never said he was going to go to that camp. He wasn't getting paid to come do it. And he never committed to doing that. So you saying that 2 to 3 weeks before somebody's biggest day of their life? How many times have we seen people throw comments out there and tank people's draft stock? He should understand that because he was the guy who fell.
Yeah.
You were a guy that fell to the
Famously fell.
So why would you do that? And you know good and well how it feels to be on that side of the table.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like it.
I like to find solutions. I hate when guys are going at it. It makes me uncomfortable. I know it's part of the world, but I think the world would be a better place if people got together and discussed their disagreements face to face instead of firing bombs and weapons and guns. And in this position, I'm not equating this to war, but you can see how things escalated, and now they're throwing, nuclear makers. This is what I would have rather seen. When I wish that when Quincy saw that, I understand why he would be upset, because he knows Deshaun. He knows what this guy's character is. And somebody just attacked his partner and friend. I get that. What I would have done was I would have sent him a message and said, hey, hit me up on DM. I would have got his digits. I would have called him and said, look, in my view, you don't know the whole story. I want to facilitate it so you know the whole story. Here's Deshaun's number. He's working at 7 o'clock tonight. I think you guys should have a talk. And don't come at him with knives. And I've told Deshaun, you guys should talk this out so you have a better understanding of what he's going through. Because let's face it, we're guilty of the same thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we're out here lobbing bombs and we don't know. There's things we don't know. We only know what either the player or the team tells us. There's so much there's more that we don't know than we know. But we're paid to opine. That's what we do. Give our thoughts. I wish that Quincy would handle things more like that. Quincy's got an edge to him. If he was working for a team, the first thing the team would tell him, those days are over. You're not Twitter beefing with crazy fans or media members. We don't do that. I think Quincy's above that. I really do. This man is a competent. What he's done, he works incredible. He was working with one of the best. He's working with some of the best 30 in the year. Look at his table. Yeah. Like, this guy is accomplished at what he does. He's good. And Brady knows that. And Brady has worked his way into a very prominent position in media. He's good too. There's no reason to lower themselves to throw public jabs at one another when they're not fully informed. Now, if Brady calls Deshaun, has a 45-minute conversation with him, you know what happens the next day out here? Because what's happening on the video is he's throwing nuclear bombs at Deshaun Watson and Quincy. Both of them. Diffuse all that. I love to say, catch more flies with honey than vinegar. You call Quincy, they have a 45-minute conversation. You know how today's show starts? Brady saying, I'm going to start today's show with an apology. I went off yesterday, and it was a little misguided. I didn't have all the facts. I only had what the media has been sharing with us, and I was dead wrong. And I had a conversation with Deshaun Watson yesterday, and I now have all the facts. So now you should listen to what I said. This man's not stealing anybody's money. This man wants to be on the football field. Bring those two together and turn it into a positive instead of where we are now.
In the end,
no one looks good.
Yes, that would have been the best case scenario. I understand why Quincy Avery got upset. I don't really. If I were him, I probably wouldn't have done it that way. But I'm kind of. I know you would. I fly off the seat of my pants, or maybe I would have. But.
I do agree that would be a better outcome.
Yes, it would. I still don't think he said anything. He didn't say it. Like, Brady clearly crossed the line multiple times.
I agree.
In his comments. We've been critical of players. I've probably crossed the line a time or two. But I've never accused a player of not pretending to be it, ever. And for a former player, he's the second one because Hanford Dixon did it.
And I love Hanford Dixon, but I can't believe that. I hate it.
I get his story all the time, man. And sometimes people come back to this. One of the most hurtful things that you can have is when you have a bunch of injuries and you're trying to get back on the field, and you've been gone for so long, what happens is you become alienated from the team because you're just working to get back. You're not practicing. You got to stay after. You're not seeing the guys. And when somebody insinuates, either on your team or the media insinuates that you don't want to play against. It goes to, like, I've had that happen before. And I'm sitting here telling people, like, why would I want to go to college? I need to get a scholarship. I ain't going to college if I'm not doing it this way. Why would I say I don't want to play? That's the most hurtful thing you can say to a player, because don't you understand that people be giving they body, like, people get hurt and their bodies are done the rest of their lives.
It's happened.
And so why would you get in somebody's head and say, oh, well, I'm going to use my head rationality to prove that I don't think you tough enough to play. And by the way, which is it, people? Which is it? And I know you don't want to talk about Baker Mayfield, but which is it? Because when Baker Mayfield went out there and he was hurt, everybody said he should have sat. Everybody said he should have sat. Everybody. Now you said, well, at least he had guts to go out there and play terribly. Now you want Deshaun Watson to do the same.
Make the same mistake.
Which is it? And fans, we get it. They only care about the results and they only care about what's going on in the field. But media members have to be a little more cognizant, especially the ones that play.
I agree. I hate to see it. Hopefully they settle things out and everybody gets on the same page. Mikey?
We'll get right back to this in literally 1 second, but we're doing a rare afternoon edition of Behind the Glass today. Myself, Anthony, and Earl going around 3:15, 3:30 to avoid interfering with the Cavs game. Cavs open tonight against the Nets. So we're in the afternoon Behind the Glass. Make sure you guys tap in, check it out. We'll see you guys this afternoon.
By the way, you said literally 1 second. I would say that was closer to 20 seconds, Mike.
I apologize. I do have one question for you guys about the Quincy Avery, Brady Quinn situation here. It feels like there is a players' fraternity. And this is, to me, where I think Brady Quinn kind of crossed the line. It's one thing for people without any idea what it takes to be in that position, to take a shot, because you've never been in those shoes. Brady Quinn's been in those exact shoes. And that's, to me, that's why I have the biggest issue. It feels like a line in the sand that shouldn't be crossed for players of a certain, and people of a certain stature, and especially quarterbacks that have played in the same franchise. To me, that's the biggest
It's
issue.
tricky because we want the former players in the media to be honest and be open.
Right.
And Brady Quinn is not afraid to criticize, and that's good.
Yeah,
but you've got to be fair about your criticism.
And that's it, Bull.
Yeah.
Like, I want fair criticism.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Before you criticize, you do have to make sure that you have a pretty good understanding of where things stand. And I just don't think that all Brady's hearing is what we're hearing, and we're confused.
Right.
And we're immersed in it. We're in the epicenter of that universe.
Yes.
We hear every little morsel and nugget of news. Brady's hearing the stuff that trickles up to the national level.
Right, yeah.
So he's hearing a fraction of what we're hearing, and we sit here every day and we say, what?
I know. So
the truth.
If he would have gone on there and been, man, this Deshaun Watson thing's been a disaster. He's been terrible so far in Cleveland. I don't know how they're winning right now. They got to get a quarterback. He can't help them.
That's fair.
That's all completely fair.
But when you question a man, I agree with you, Steve. It's the players' fraternity thing. But when you insinuate that a man is faking an injury, that is a character assassination that cannot be undone.
It just don't, like, that's like one of y'all being sick. And I come on the show, oh man, Bull ain't sick. I don't know what Bull got going on today.
How do you know? Yeah, we don't know.
What? That man might be on his deathbed.
Yeah,
you don't know how, what are you talking about? And my thing with Brady Quinn, you go back to 2008 and you look at Brady Quinn, I would respect his opinion as an analyst, and sometimes I even have to learn this. You don't have to have high takes. Just give me perspective. Bernie came up here and gave us perspective on what it's like to have a rotating cup. Brady Quinn in 2008 was under kind of the same microscope. They needed to make a decision on whether it was Derek Anderson, who had a great year in 07, or whether they're going to get arranged for Brady Quinn, who was a first-round pick. Derek Anderson eventually lost his job. Brady Quinn came in. However, it was at the end of the season, so Brady Quinn had some up games, some down games. Actually, it kind of was like the first 3 games that Deshaun Watson played this year. Had a really good game. He had a so-so game, and the team won. He had a horrible game and the team got smashed. And then there was another game where it was like, oh, he played his best game. After that happened, he ends up fracturing his fingers. He fractures his fingers, and he continues to try to play through it. He tried to play through it. He says, and this is Cleveland.com, you can go check it out. He tried to play through it, and it gets worse. So then the fracture turns into he needs to get surgery on a ligament in his finger. Now, On the outside looking it in, people will say, how tough is a finger injury? Like, people make fun of stuff like that.
All right, split it up, go play.
Well, it's critical.
Yeah.
It's critical. So I would enjoy Brady Quinn saying, hey, let me give you a story.
Yeah.
This thing happened to me. And I was in that same situation, and this was what I was going through because I needed to make a decision. The organization wanted to make a decision on whether I was good enough and didn't have enough information. They go into that season, and then you come back, and there's a quarterback competition in 2009. Eventually, it spirals out of the control. Derek Anderson didn't play well. Brady Quinn didn't play well. And eventually, Brady Quinn was jettisoned to the Chiefs. But the long story short is, I would have enjoyed hearing your insight on that, the rationale, the pressure, the mood you were in, the thought process when you're hurt and you're trying to prove yourself. I would have liked to hear that.
And G, to your point on being hurt or not, we've reached a point in this whole saga where we have legitimate national NFL reporters. Steve, you can take the tag board full here. But guys having clarified that it's a real injury. I mean, Tom Pelissero tweeted yesterday, and this is a direct quote from Tom Pelissero. You can see, as mentioned here, Deshaun Watson has a strain of his subscapularis muscle, which causes pain and weakness in the rotator cuff. Quote, it's a real injury that takes time to heal. As if people didn't believe this man was actually hurt.
And by the way,
And it doesn't go away. I mean, it's one of those.
It's the first time I've ever seen an
Think about this again, guys. Talk to a bull.
he's got an injury to his throwing shoulder, okay? The first week after it happened, it happened in the Titans game. He didn't leave the game.
Right.
If he was all about, I don't care, I'm playing, he would have left the game. Sure. They were winning. He could have left the game. Number two, the following week, even though it looked all week like he wasn't going to play against Baltimore, on all week he's telling everybody
On Friday, he said, I'm going
to play.
Yeah.
If he didn't want to play because he got all this money, why would he have said that? He made himself look worse by saying that. So that makes no sense. He wanted to play and couldn't. Okay, the next game against San Francisco, we couldn't go. Then this week, it was 100% obvious to anybody with a brain that he was incapable of throwing the ball like he wanted to, and it had been reported that not by him, but by Schefter and whoever, that it was